Kedves hallgatóink, a mai online konferencia utolsó előadásához érkeztünk el, melyet Nagy Attila fenntarthatósági szakértőtől hallgathatnak meg, aki a SUSCOMNET projekt egyik állandó előadója magyar és angol nyelveken, az egyes fenntarthatósággal kapcsolatos, azonban különböző tematikájú találkozók alkalmával. Az előadás címe Techno-optimizmus és klímatudatosság, Transzhumanizmus, Greenwashing és médiaetika. Az előadás angol nyelvű lesz, ezért kérjük, hogy állítsák át az élőbeszéd nyelvét angolra. Dear listeners, we have arrived at the last presentation of today's online conference, which you can listen to from Attila Nagy, sustainability expert, who is one of the permanent speakers of the SUSCOMNET project in Hungarian and English language as well, during the meetings related to sustainability, but with different themes. The title of the lecture is Techno-optimism and Climate Awareness, Transhumanism, Greenwashing and Media Ethics. The lecture will be in English, so please change the language of the live speech to English. Kedves Nagy Attila, az öné a szó.
All right, thank you. Okay. Welcome everyone, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. I'm happy to be here again. I bringing a little bit long title, but it will be I hope hopefully it will be entertaining and informative as well. Before I start my presentation, I want to share my experience on the last week. I was participated in a meetup, and one of the lecturer has got a presentation about her data science project, and she just collected the average temperature of Budapest from 2022 and 2023, and everybody from the room just noticed that the average temperature in Budapest on that 2 years was not below -1 degree of Celsius. So it was, a hands-on experience about climate change. And so before I start, I want to start with an example, as I always used to. So it was a historical event of the Great Blackout of New York City. Maybe you heard it, but if you're not, it was happened in 1977. Some of the books and some movies made and dependent on this historical event. It started with I think it was a multiple lightning hit some buildings, some stations. It started after 8 p.m. and it was only for one day. And if you know this British proverb, bad things are coming like buses. So sometimes nothing happens when you are waiting for bus, but when you don't want to go anywhere, there are multiple buses arrives and going to the right place where you want to go. So bad things are like these buses. So multiple things happened, but before that happened, there was some preparation, let me say so, in 1977 in the US. They got some financial crisis. There was a serial killer in the city. It was always on the newspaper. There was an economic downturn. It was the classic stagflation, if you know this word, when the oil prices was high, the inflation is high, but the economic growth has stopped. So there was no job or not enough job, and everything was every price just went high. And there was a heat wave. It just started on that day, on July, at the East Coast. And the result of this lightning bolt was looting and vandalism. So there was no light on the evening, if you can imagine, in a big city. Almost 70% of New York City, has no light on that day. And they looted more than 1,500 stores. There was more than 1,000 fires occurred. And my favorite is they stole 50 new Pontiac cars in a Bronx car dealership. So just imagine this looting. It's 50 new Pontiac cars just looted from just one shop. And hopefully 3 people has died in fire hazard and 1 just shoot down in a store. More than 500 policemen injured and 5,000, more than 4,000 looters arrested. It was the largest mass arrested. And there were hazards like airports were closed and tunnels were closed because there was no air ventilation, and subway from the same reason. And there is an urban legend that the stolen DJ equipments helped to create the hip-hop style music, but it's not true. It's just an urban legend. This is how the hip-hop style music born. So the lessons learned from this happening, that we got more different blackouts in New York City. It was a black swan effect in 77. So it not repeated again in the same way. So there was no looting and some things like that. The other lessons learned that nature is hazardous. So lightning, heat, and darkness, all of them is complex and unknown. And we are living in a human-built environment, and we used to misuse this. We used to confuse it with nature, so it's not equivalent the two. And yeah, there was another lessons learned, that the technical upgrade happened from the factory, from the electrical factory. And in my lecture, so it was just a introduction, I got 2 questions to answer today. What is the historical origin of nowadays techno-optimism? So where are the roots of this idea? How it is connected to climate awareness, greenwashing, and to media ethics? And I will use the Aristotelian philosophy as a beacon or a signal light to lead us to find the answers. So the original roots of the techno-optimism is going back to the Enlightenment. And what is it? Techno means in this relationship, it's not the techno music, so it's just a short-term word for technology, of course. And techno-optimism nowadays, what we call you can call it transhumanism, or you can call it a Silicon Valley religion, whatever you want. But it's all of them a bunch of ideas where we can imagine that we can travel to the Mars, we create AI, we solve the human condition, sickness via drugs, or in general, we believe that an unknown invention will solve a current and actual problem like overpopulation, climate change, and pollutions. So this is the current techno-optimistic point of view. This is where they start. And the other important thing, and it is written by technologically optimistic philosophers, that in the sense of technology, technology is always against the nature. So it's always wide, untamed, uncharted, reckless, causes suffering, and we cannot control nature. So there is an opposition with technology and nature, which I think it's a misleading idea. And yeah, the early roots of the techno-optimism is going back to the Enlightenment, and it was raised on the Second Industrial Revolution in the long 19th century, if you know. And in the third millennium, we got more optimistic scenarios for scientific researches, like rocket technology. So this is why we have air traffic, IT technology, just remember the last 3 decades, biomedical inventions like drugs and so on, and DNA researches. So I just collected these 3 topics and how we can avoid thinking badly. So in the Aristotelian ethic, we are always trying to avoid the 2 extremisms, that thinking too much or thinking too less about something, and we try to find the value as closest or values as it is. So in climate, in the case of climate awareness, if we are too optimistic about of this topic, and we are thinking that technology will solve this, the risk is that we can be unprepared for changes, or we can be a multiplier of these changes because of the technology. So it's a very huge risk, I think, in this this case. And if we are too much pessimistic about that one, it stops us to do anything, and also we can be a multiplier of this climate change. Greenwashing is another topic. If try to apply the Aristotelian ethic as well, if we are trusting the technology too much and we think that we can make it green, like in the case of electric cars, if you just think in the last 1 decade about the argument of electric cars, they didn't solve our problem. They solved some problem, but we still have some. So it's very hard to communicate if we are thinking that we got only one solution. And the other hand, if we don't think that anything can be green to related technology, and we say, oh, nuclear plants are not green enough, oh, solar thermal technology cannot green enough, so we are on the other side of the strap. So we always forgot that technology is like a black magic. So there are always a side effect or a correlated damage when we use it. So we always have to pay the price for the technology what we are using. And media ethics in the last part, what was the time? Okay, I just need 5 more minutes and I finish. And media ethics, on the other hand, I'm thinking mainly on online media ethics. And online media is not just Facebook or Instagram, but everything where you have to give some data about yourself, like email or your address in a food order application, or your national organizations systems when you are renew identity card or something, or driver license. All of this is a potential risk. But if you are not using, we are excluded from this system. So, for example, we are not using landline phones. We are using mobile phones at the moment. If someone not using mobile phone, it's very hard to keep contact on daily basis. If we trust too much on these systems, we can be the victims of fraud, abuse, and data steal. It's obvious, I think. Okay, and what we need then, so the summary is, and I got very good lectures before me, so thank you, colleagues. I think I heard almost all of the 3 things what I wanted to show, that trust, transparency, and knowledge is important in this technological age, how we can collaborate more with the nature, with our reasonable technology, and yeah. And I got a PhD about this one, but in the old times, we got old style heroes. And in the picture, you can see Joe Metzinger, one of my favorite. He's from the Navajo people. He participated in the Second World War. And in the Navajo tradition, he needed to touch an enemy, steal an enemy's horse, and capture an enemy alive. And he did it in the Second World War. So he's the last living person. I think he's still living person who earned the chieftain rank in the old way. But we are living in a highly modern era. So we need more modern heroes like Neumann, Einstein, or as Kant was. So thank you for listening. And yeah, I give back the micro.
Köszönjük szépen Nagy Attila előadását. Hölgyeim és uraim, ezennel a végéhez ért a Fenntartható Városok, Fenntartható Közösségek, a média és a kommunikáció hatása a klímatudatosságra című online testvérvárosi találkozónk. A SUSCOMNET projekt rendezvénye az Európai Unió Európai Audiovizuális, Kulturális, Oktatási Végrehajtó Ügynöksége támogatásával valósult meg. Ezúton szeretnék köszönetet mondani önöknek, kedves vendégeink, hogy csatlakoztak rendezvényünk 3. programjához, és meghallgatták előadásainkat. A menedzsment nevében szeretném megköszönni testvérvárosaink Csík, Szereda, Kovászna és Vangroviec városok kapcsolattartóinak a jó ötleteket és a remek előadók delegálását. Köszönjük szépen partnervárosainknak, Zrenjaninnak és Komáromnak az együttműködést, a tudás és a tapasztalat átadását. Köszönet illeti még dr. Szilágyi Tamást és Függ Zsoltot is, mint a projekt külsős tanácsadóit, akik mindig megadják nekünk a jó válaszokat a kérdéseinkre. Továbbá az informatikusainkat is köszönet illeti, akik nélkül a mai rendezvény nem jöhetett volna létre. Ők ketten Belicai Balázs és Vadi Gergő. Következő rendezvényünk 2025. április 4-e 6-a között lesz Kovásznán, ahol a zöld energia és az energiahatékonyság kerül a fókuszba. Online találkozóval legközelebb május 9-én érkezünk, addig is további jó munkát és kellemes tavaszvárást kívánok mindenkinek, viszontlátásra! Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the online twinning meeting entitled Sustainable Cities, Sustainable Communities, the Impact of Media and Communication on Climate Awareness. The event of the SUSCOMNET project was supported by the European Union, Executive Agency for Audiovisual Cultural Education. We would like to thank you, dear guests, for joining the third program of our project and listening to our presentations. On behalf of the management, I would like to thank the contact persons of our twin cities, Mierkure, Csuk, Kovászna, and Vagroviec for the good ideas, and the delegated speakers. Thank you very much for the cooperating partners to Zrenjanin and Komárno. We would like to thank to Dr. Tamás Szilágyi and Zsolt Függ as project consultants who always give the right answers to our questions. In addition, thanks are also due to our IT specialists, without whom today's event would not have been possible. These two colleagues are Balázs Belicai and Gergő Vadi. Our next event will be held between 4 and 6 of April in Kovászna, where the focus will be on green energy and energy efficiency. We will next arrive with an online meeting on the 9th of May. In the meantime, I wish you good work and pleasant spring. Goodbye.